Hey guys, today in this video we are going to learn about launching a virtual machine in AWS, and for this you need to have an AWS account. And if you are on free tier, that is absolutely fine, because all the stuffs that we are going to do here in this video are compatible with free tier. So if you are on a student account, and that is also absolutely fine. So without any further ado, let's get started. So I am already logged in into my AWS management console. So and then we are going to use EC2 service for creating a virtual machine. So there are various different ways for actually accessing the virtual machine. You can go over the services, and under compute section you can find EC2, or you can simply search over here EC2, and the first one which appears here is the one we are searching for. Click on this, and then we are hop into this new EC2 dashboard, and here we can see the different status. Like we have, for now I have 0 instance running, and I have no any instances, I have no any volumes, and one security groups which comes by default. And here are a lot of other information that we are not going to focus in this video. So here we can see a launch instance option. You can simply click on this and click on launch instance. After this we need to go through a couple of steps. So altogether we have 7 steps. So in each steps we will be doing separate tasks, or we will be providing a configuration for our virtual machine. So in this step 1, we have to choose Amazon machine image, AMI. So this is basically like selecting operating system for your computer. You may use Windows, you may use different Linux variants, and you may choose other according to your purpose. So to move ahead with this video, and I'll be stick with free tier. So I'll be choosing Ubuntu Server 18.04 version, and which is of 64-bit. I'm going to select this, and in this second steps we have to choose instance type. So again, uh, the only type that is free tier eligible is T2 macros, so I'll be moving ahead with these types. And if you want to learn more about the instance type, you can simply click on this learn more link, and then you can go into depth about each instance type. So each instance types are configured with different specs. Like some instance have greater CPU performance, some instance have greater memory power, some instance are network optimized. So according to your use case, you can choose different kinds of instance type. So you can go over these each of the instance type and have a look. Feel free to look into this. So yeah, for now I'll be choosing a T2 macro and moving ahead. So in step 3 we have to configure a few things. So yeah, I'm not going to cover all these here in this video, because we'll be only covering the basics of creating instance in this video. So here you can see number of instance. We are just going to create a single instance, so I'll keep this as 1. So make sure you have chosen a default VPC. So in under a network section you have to choose the default VPC. Yeah, not compulsory, but like if you have a custom VPC, and if you have not attached internet gateway into that VPC, and you may not be able to access internet through this instance, so make sure to choose the default one, and then keep all the settings as it is. And yeah, we are good to proceed ahead. Then I'll move to add storage dashboard. So in this screen you are able to add storage to your virtual machine. So it is basically like adding hard disks to your computer. Like you may configure hard disks of your own choice. You may choose it as 100 GB, right? You may choose different volume types: SSD, GPT2, GP3, and IO1, IO2. So uh, you can choose a different volume type. For now I'll be sticking with gp2, and 8 GB is enough for this demo. And then I'll move ahead, adding tags. So tags basically help to identify the resources in AWS. So if you have a large organization, and if you have a different department, and the staffs from different department may create different types of instance, different types of virtual machines, and you as an admin may have to identify which user is creating which instance, or for what purpose it is created. So at that time tags are very important, so it is always good to add tags to your resources. So for now I'll be just simply keeping it as demo, and then I'll proceed ahead, configure security groups. And this is the very important steps. Security groups is a set of firewall rules that control traffic for an instance. So as it says, basically security groups is a set of firewall rules. So we allow the port from here, and then the traffic from uh, outside the AWS is able to only access through these ports, right? So if you have an application deployed in this instance, and if that application is using port 80, and until and unless you specify that port 80 here in the security groups, you cannot access it from the outer internet, I mean from the internet. Okay, so it is very important to like identify which ports to allow, which ports not to allow. So that totally depends upon your use case. So for now I'll be just sticking with SSH, because uh, I'll be accessing it in a couple of minutes, and then I'll be installing Apache. So for that purpose we need a port 22 opened. So and I'll select it anywhere from now. So this is not the best practice, and make sure you do not choose this one in your in production, because like allowing any IP to SSH your instance is not a good practice. So make sure to choose a specific CIDR range, or make sure to choose your own only IP in production mode. So but for now I'll be choosing it anywhere, and I'll give it a name so that I can use it while creating other instance too. Basic web sc, yeah. And then I'll move ahead, review and launch, and this is the final step where we get the confirmation of each configuration we have chosen. So everything seems look good. We have port 22 opened, and then yeah, we have chosen the T2 microtype, and then yeah, let's launch this one. Yeah, so and then here in the steps, here in this step we have to provide a key pair. You may I mean like public key resides on AWS, and private key is the one we need to store. So while we are accessing this instance, we need to provide a private key file, and then we are able to access this instance. Otherwise we cannot access the virtual machine. So for this you can choose an existing key pair if you have already created. So if you haven't, go ahead with create a new key pair. So and then give it a name. For now I'm just going to keep it simple, demo, and then I'm going to download a key pair. Whenever I download the key, the launch instance option is enabled. So I'll launch the instance, then yeah, then it displays your instance are now launching. So you can view the instance either by choosing this instance ID. If you do this one, filter will be applied of your instance ID, and if you see the instance state and it is pending now, it takes near about 1 to 2 minutes to be running, status running. So wait for, like, yeah, you can see here it is running now, so it is quite fast, and we do not have to wait for more than, like, I don't think we have waited for 5 seconds too. So yeah, when the status is running, you can click over this instance ID, and here you get all the details of your instance of your virtual machine. So yeah, here we get the public IP. This is the IP which we'll be using for accessing accessing all the stuffs that we are going to do in this instance. And this is basically the public IP. There are two IPs. Make sure you can see the public IP, because this is the one actually we are going to like access resources inside the EC2. And this is the private IP. So this is the IP provided by AWS VPC. And yeah, you can see the security groups. We have only enabled port 22 for now, and you can again see the storage options and all those. Yeah, okay. So without going into any further details, I'm just directly going to access this instance. Is the instance status is running. I can now able to access it from my local machine. So for that, if you click over this connect option, you can see three options. Like, you can connect this instance in three ways. The first one is EC2 instance connect, the second one is session manager, and third one is SSH client. For now I'm going to use SSH client from my local machine. So for that I will be using Gitpass to access this instance. So here are the clear instruction. You can follow along these instructions. So for now I'm going to open Gitbass. You can open Gitbass by right clicking on your desktop and going through Gitbass here, and you will see a similar screen of Gitbass. So this is basically an environment that allow us to run some Linux commands, basic Linux commands for accessing the instance or the virtual machine. So first you need to run this command. Run this command if necessary to ensure your key is not publicly viewable. So it restricts the permission of your private file. So if it is writable, and it removes those permission, and then it makes sure that you don't accidentally rewrite it. So yeah, no message means good message, obviously. So okay, and then copy this one, connect to your instance using its public DNS. So this is basically just a public DNS. So this is the public DNS of your instance. You can either use IP address or use public DNS. This is just a public DNS name. So for connecting, you can copy this one, the final script, and then you can paste over it here. So before running this command, make sure your private file is in the same folder you are currently in, right? So I'm in the desktop and I have my private file downloaded in the desktop, so I'm able to run this command directly here without providing absolute path of the private file. So if you are if your private file is somewhere else, either you provide the full path of your private file or navigate into that specific folder and run these commands. So yeah, after this we are going to run the final command, which will allow us to connect to our instance that we just created. So for that we will be doing SSH, and we'll be providing flag -i, and then we'll be providing the full path of our private file. This is the username. For now we are using Ubuntu. So for Ubuntu operating system, this is going to be the username. So if you are using Amazon AMI, then the username will be EC2-user, and something different for other machines. So make sure to check this one. and this is the DNS name of your instance. So if you go over the instance here, and if you see the public DNS, IPv4 public DNS, and this is the DNS name of the instance. So you can either use the public IP or the public DNS, that makes no difference. So let's run this command, and then yeah, if you are connecting for the first time, then it is going to ask for the confirmation. Simply type yes, and then yeah, we are successfully connected to our instance. As you can see, this is the private IP of our instance, and 172.3.1.80.191. Yeah, exactly the same. So this means we are successfully connected to our virtual machine. uh, up to this step, we have created a virtual machine, and then we have successfully connected to our virtual machine. So we have completed two steps so far, and now I'm just going to show you so if we try to access the public IP now, then we'll get some message like connection refused, because we don't have any web server installed in this virtual machine, and so there is nothing in our virtual machine to serve our request, right? So for that purpose, and for this demo, we are going to install uh, Apache, and you can always install a web server of your own choice, right? So you are feel free to choose the different one like Nginx, and or if there is anything else. So before that, I'm simply going to update the package first. Sudo apt get, yeah, there are various ways for doing this. Okay, so yeah, it's updating the package. So to be sure that I'm updated with all the packages, and yeah, it's done. Let's clear the screen, and then let's install Apache. For that, you can simply use the command sudo apt get install Apache 2. Yeah, it asks for the confirmation because it requires this much additional disk space, so it just asks for the confirmation. Press Y and do enter, and then it will take couple of seconds, and then it will install Apache into our virtual machine. So yeah, it is almost done. So there are no errors, means like Apache is installed successfully. Let's refresh this page, and then still we are not able to access this one. So maybe you are already familiar with this error, and then I just want to show you that we are not able to access the web page now, because like we don't have port 80 enabled for from our EC2 instance. So to access this public IP, this is trying to hit the port 80 from our local machine, so we must allow port 80 from our virtual machine. So let's move into our security groups. This is the one we are using, so let's edit the inbound rules, and then let's add a new rule that allows port 80. So let's choose HTTP, and then let's allow it from anywhere. So let's save the rule. Yeah, it is saved already, and let's refresh the page again. Oh, we are able to access the page. This means like Apache 2 is installed successfully, and this is basically the web server that we are using for which serves our request. So yeah, make sure you have port 80 open from your security groups, otherwise you will not be able to access this page. And this is the very common mistake, or let's say a very common error that we face at the very first step. And also make sure that do not open the port unnecessarily, because like this is vulnerable in some case, because if you are like allowing the random ports, and there are many ways your EC2 server may be attacked by a third person. So make sure, make everything sure that your EC2 is safe and secure. You can also set up different firewalls in the web server itself, or you can restrict those traffic from the security groups too. uh, that is all for this video. So I hope the video was fruitful, and if you have any questions, and if you have any queries that you are unclear on this part, please feel free to put in the comment section. And till then, bye bye, take care.